Bonjour mes amis! Hi guys! By the way, what I say is bonjour mes amis. I'm sure most of you are very well educated and know that, but not everybody knows French. It means hello, my friends. I have a bit of time to waste, and there's a nice light this morning, natural light. So I thought, hey, why not pull out a bunch of watches and talk about nothing and everything. I was just watching Watch Eric in Miami. I love his videos. You know, it's always on the more blingier side of the watch spectrum, but he's so genuine and enthusiastic, and he was talking about the Day-Date 2 and the Day-Date 40 and how his opinion changed. And actually on my wrist, I have a recent reacquisition. This is the Datejust 2, the Datejust 2. So it came. It's been discontinued in 2016, 2017. It's bigger, and they refined it just like they did on the President. They refined it and to come up with the Datejust 41, which I don't have with me right now. And yeah, it's true that it's a more refined watch and much better for every day. But there's something about something a bit larger, and especially the dial. The Datejust 2 happen to have really great dials, while for the Day-Date, they have better dials now and come up with great colors than they did when they did the Day-Date 2. But there are still some special dials for the Day-Date 2, and yeah, it was a very brutalist kind of look. They went quickly very big, and then they toned it down. They did the same with the Datejust, but I think a lot of us are still a bit enamored with the stronger look. So this weekend I'm going to wear this. I just love the numerals. Let me zoom on them. You know, at night you get that great lume, and just a super cool look, obviously with the fluted bezel, which is the big signature of Rolex all around the world, on the track, around the tennis courts. And the one here, yeah, is very prominent. That's a lot of gold there. I mean, you overpay for these things, that's for sure, but it's not that much gold, especially not in a Day-Date. You know, the President's, it's like 300,000 Hong Kong dollar, so over 25,000 US. There's not a lot of gold. I mean, it's maybe worth 100,000 Hong Kong, not even less than that. Somebody calculated, but yeah, it's the statement watch. The thing with the Day-Dates, I had a look at them, and they're cool, but you don't get any adjustment in the clasp, and it's something really useful if you're like Watch Eric in Miami or in Hong Kong, where it gets really humid a lot of the time in the year. You'd have to keep your watch very loose because, like right here now, it's the morning time. My wrist is a bit expanding, so I can just lift it up, and there you go. Now I have a nice relief. I love that. You don't get it with the President. You get that nice, smooth, stealth kind of shot on it. You also don't get the lume, and I love the lume, especially on this one. Just a sensational lume, and I love to wear my watches at night. So also, yeah, a lot more weight because of the full gold or full platinum construction. Here you have the mix with the steel, makes it more wearable every day, especially in this larger format. And you get a bit less damage because these are soft materials. They will scratch pretty easily. The steel a bit less. I think it's a great in between. And the look itself, the contrast is very strong. Some don't like it and prefer full gold or full steel. Past 40 years old, I think you can easily wear those two tones. And it's one of those things that come back in fashion. You know, young people will also like them. By the way, I have my favorite date day. Since we're talking about this, the little Tudor. I got 3 of these different color dials. such a cool buy on the market. I've made videos about it, so I don't need to explain again why I think so. I think there's a nice gap still now to buy them. I don't think you want to pay more than you would pay for a vintage, semi-vintage Rolex Day-Date. But here you get the two-tone and the complication, which you can't get, unless you pay a lot more with Rolex, and you won't get two-tone anyway. So it's got a sweet spot in terms of value to go from 3,000-ish US to up to maybe 5,000. These are real collector's pieces, and they really do mimic Rolex, which is the way Tudor was intended to be, and now they've evolved into their own thing, but at the same time they still go back to the origin. This is very much the first Submariner. This is the Black Bay 54. Cool watch, but I haven't worn it all that much. I don't know, it's a bit that's a bit like the Black Bay 58. It's a bit sad, right? Sometimes you want a bit more fun, and that's what I get when, for example, I wear the Omega James Bond, which is not as comfortable as a Rolex. A bit in between the Rolex and the Tudor, and they're a bit bigger, a bit heavier. This mesh is good. It's but doesn't always fall right on the wrist. Actually, it fits better on my right wrist than my left wrist. But yeah, very beautiful blue, a bit more playful. I really like the 60 on this one. Anyway, what did I want to talk about, if anything at all? I just came back from holiday, and I had my little travel watch here. Great, anti-magnetic, so cool at the airport. You can jump in the pool. Good water resistance. You don't get the minute track, but you can pretty much tell where you are, I suppose. It's not a big deal. As I mentioned, I prefer to have the daylight savings time. Otherwise, you're wrong half the year, and that's what I have here with my Chopard, an independent watchmaker. Did you know it's a full-fledged manufacturer since '96, and they are independent. They make such fantastic watches. You should really look into it. I could have a whole collection just of Chopard. The new. When you look at the XPS models, you get the caliber 96, which is one of the very best calibers as a base. So they come up with an Alpine Eagle with that. And this one is not the 96 as a base, but it's still a very nice manufacturer caliber. And they got some really fantastic watches. We had a look at the Hunter Caseback model on this channel. Check it out. It was really nice. Did this one here. Next time I travel, I will take this one, which I got at a very good price, second hand. It's a bit of wear, which I like. Makes me less precious with it. And there is lume enough on it. And unlike many world timers, you get the date in a radial format. And I love all those concentric circles, different colors. So cool. And it felt it's a bit bigger, it's 42 millimeters, so it's sportier. So I've put it on this parachute strap. I love these, and I think it really suits the watch. And actually, I got a compliment about it in the office. It's very noticeable. It's really one of those watches that I really, really wanted, and I was really, really patient until I looked at it in a window here. It's very hard to sell, at the retail prices. And I'm sorry, Chopard. I wish I could afford your things at retail all the time, but I really wanted this. I think it's a beautiful look, and totally overlooked by the market. The obsession of everybody with the GMT, including me. What does a GMT do? It does absolutely nothing. You have to know the time at whatever other location to set it up. Anyway, here, it's so cool. You get the world in your on the wrist. You see it's nighttime there in Europe. I've learned that the time zones in the US are LA, Denver, Mexico, New York. I would have put Mexico next to LA, right? But it's much further east than Denver, the mountain region, and then of course we know New York. So you learned a few things, a few more destinations. I like this. La Paz, Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, this one doesn't have like some other. Yeah, it's interesting to compare the two. Here you have Alaska. You have cities, but Alaska, it's not a city. It should be like Anchorage, I suppose. And here you don't even have anything there. They looked further south. So I guess Rio de Janeiro is going to be... No. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, there you go. I'm looking at the wrong side. Anchorage, you see? They got the city. They got the city right. I guess it's a question of space. Here they went for Alaska. It looks like they had enough space. They put Los Angeles, the full word, and Honolulu. They could have put Anchorage. Maybe they didn't realize. I thought somebody at Omega in Bien thought that Anchorage was, Alaska was the city. I just prefer this one. It's just so much more refined. Look at all the different textures. And I like the font that they use, which is used all over the dial. Except just maybe for the LU Chopard name. I'm not sure if it's the same font. The rest is the same. And that's a great move. The hands are cool. Just a super cool watch. And I was talking about the movement. It's just really, really beautiful to look at. It's original. It's manufactured. Chopard, man, you should look into it. And for the money you're going to waste on something that's on everybody else's wrist, you can get something a lot more unusual, with much better manufacture, better performance, more attention to details from Chopard. I'm really looking forward to get to know the brand even more. Yeah, well, what else did I want to talk about? I'm gonna make maybe a video about JLC. I'm trying to figure out where the brand is going. It's all about the reversal these days. They've increased the prices so much, and yet a lot of the watches are either too big or too bland, or the opposite. Some of the divers are just too in your face, too flashy. 3 years ago, I thought that's the only brand that has the brand cachet, the brand equity, and the manufacturing capability to take that market that Rolex is leaving on the table because of the games played by the ADs. You can't buy anything at the shops. It's ridiculous. There's a shop every 20 meters here in Hong Kong. I can't buy anything. And there's so much room for a brand like GLC to do what Zenith did with the Chronomaster Sport, right? The Chronomaster Sport swept that $10,000 market with a great product, because you get the tenth of a second chronograph, the date. Wow, that's manufacture at its best. And they screwed it up. They totally screwed it up by releasing back to back. I mean, they used the whole marketing budget for the Sport, and then they made another great one, the Open. I'm sure most of you haven't even seen it or heard about it. It's a great watch, still with the tenth of a second chronograph. And then they did the Original, which is even cooler, very vintage. Wears a bit too flat, too high, but apart from that, really a cool watch. Nobody heard about it. There was no more marketing budget for it. That's the problem of those brands, part of a group, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to hear from Zenith if they were forced to go so quick, or what's the reason. I would have waited at least a full year or 2 years before coming up with those two great products, because buyers here in Hong Kong, first they're excited, they're in a hurry to get the Sport, and now it's in every window. And people are scared because you see back to back, they show you these other ones. And I got scared. I sold immediately my Sport because I could see the market falling. And now I sold it at higher prices than dealers are selling them at. And I saw the same thing happening with Tudor, but now I'm stuck with 2-3 models. And I'm talking short-term stuff. Maybe long-term, in 20 years, we'll look back at this period as a golden age. Tudor, Zenith are coming up with great products, Breitling as well to some extent, but No, Breitling, I mean, it's owned by a private equity firm. Not too crazy about that sort of ownership input into management decisions, but they still have some interesting stuff. But more, yeah, come on, nothing that really I want to buy right now at retail. But yeah, Zenith got people to buy at retail, Tudor as well, and now they have too much product, too much good stuff. People are reselling with a big loss, and yeah, that the damage is done. The damage is done. Those are two brands that are gonna hurt. And Jaeger LeCoultre that I was mentioning, Jaeger, they keep on increasing the prices. I think Richemont tries to make them, put them in a different segment, hoping that maybe the Chinese mainland market is going to come to Hong Kong and buy those things at retail. And, there's a new model. They say, oh, it's going to be tough to get. And 2 months later, it's in the window. Nobody wants it. They still have great stuff like the duometre and all that. But we'll do a whole video about it. I'm a bit, I think that this is something they should be doing better to capture that market. But anyway, shout out to Dumoro, DM02. No, I did a little slip of the tongue in my last video. It's not nominated. It's entered at the GPHG. You just need to pay to enter your watch. Funnily enough, that Chinese brand that sent me that super cool tourbillon, Age Loser. I tried to find the if it's the acronym for something else, but it's not. There's no 8-letter words using in English that uses those letters. And they've also entered a watch, a much worse looking. This one, I love the way it looks. And they've entered some white square stuff. I'm going to do a video reviewing all the GPHG entries, and it's also with the same kind of movement with the Flying Tourbillon, which let's zoom on it. It's just, if you told me if it was made in Switzerland as well as those bridges, I'd believe you. And they enter such an ugly watch, and the blurb at the bottom is again made by one of those marketing companies that has no idea. It just doesn't talk about who's making the watch properly, and talks about those big concepts, esoteric concepts that nobody cares about, make no sense to anybody. Just when the Chinese will get everything right in terms of the styling and the marketing without bullshitting people, it's gonna swipe the market. I mean, they can do anything, and I've shown you already high quality pieces. And I mean, it's a Flying Tourbillon for what, $1,000 or something, with a great case that looks like it was made for longer, signed crown. Doesn't even run bad, actually. I put it on the timegrapher. It was actually quite good. But yeah, that's also not this model, but one of their models, one of their hundreds of models. That's also the problem, is entered at the GPHG. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to do a video about that as well. Cartier. Shout out to also Garrick. Garrick, this is my most... well, I didn't customize it for myself. I just saw it and got lucky I could purchase it. It was here in Hong Kong. But I just like that, I'm not someone who's going to be that smart, that good at saying, oh, I want the guilloche pattern to look like that. Oh, I think this color would look better. Oh, I want my hands to be brown, not heat blued. You can get a whole shade of, a lot of different shades for those heated hands. No, I saw this and I liked it. Probably need to put a different strap. This is, but it's okay. A bit too serious, maybe that strap. But yeah, everything handmade. They polish their own cases. The dials take a huge amount of time to do. The chaptering. This is my most unique watch, my most personal watch, I suppose. And the movement. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't advertise much. This movement that was made just for the 39mm case, in-house. So cool. Free sprung. You see all those little weights there to adjust for precise adjustment. When you wind it, you see the little clicking thing here. Just so classic watchmaking with a frosted plate. Though that's really watchmaking. This is actual watchmaking, cutting everything yourself, polishing, frosting, taking the time, and they can't make many watches a year, right? It's like maybe 50. They just get a couple of watchmakers, and you get something absolutely unique for less than what you have to pay now for. This is about the same price as a Pepsi GMT on the second-hand market, and everything is made by hand. This one is made with a 19th century guilloche machine. And you start to see a lot of those things, by the way. I'm almost getting blasé about it, because every other week there's another independent micro brand doing a different kind of guilloche. I think Garrick still do the best. It's really, really thick, really deep, really beautiful, with a different one on the outside. And the chaptering very much inspired by classic UK watchmaking, Breguet as well. The hands are very original, heat blued. But yeah, you see a lot more and more and more of these. The reason I wanted this one first is because it's a 39 millimeter. It's perfect size, and because they made a brand new caliber just for it. Not many watchmakers are able to do that. Most of those brands you're going to see with the guilloche dials that come out will use an ETA and break down everything and redo it with their style and refinish everything, which costs $3,000 to $6,000 in itself, right? In just the time that it takes, or more. But here's a totally original movement to the credit of Garrick. So which could cost a lot more. I think 20 grand is the right price. It's a lot. It's a lot. Sometimes I'm thinking, maybe I went too fast buying this. 20 grand, man. You gotta slow down, buddy. You're not that kind of guy. I thought I would never spend more than what I spent on this, and then I got this at the boutique, and then I get this. I mean, dude, did you get a bonus? Somebody was asking. Not the kind of bonus that can buy this. I kind of reduced my equity holdings. I'm always Dr. Doom when it comes to stock market, so I reduced the equities and put it in something I believe more in, and I get more enjoyment out of. It's watches, but at some point things are gonna have to slow down, and I have to be a bit more careful, because you buy independence. I talk a lot about it here, but I think Garrick has been in business for a long time, and they trust the company will be there to support their product. Can't say the same thing about other independents. When there's only one guy, one watchmaker making everything, if a bus runs over him after he has collected your money for subscription, for example, that's it. If a bus runs him over after he's sold his first watches, that's it. Nobody's going to be able to fix your watch. How are you going to make... if anything breaks, any wheel breaks, who's going to remake it for you? But I mean, these days with the 3D printing, maybe... so I think, one thing important with those, if you're looking at the independence, is the continuity. And I talk about a lot on my videos. They are sponsored, well done in collaboration, not sponsored, but I get things to show you thanks to an independent watcher here in Hong Kong, and he does his homework. He doesn't sell bullshit. He sources great watches that he believes in, that they have a future, that the product is strong, that it's original. But we talked about this, and he knows that it's important that spare parts will be available, and that's part of the success of Rolex. They made spare parts easily available to any watchmaker, so they don't have to handle all the servicing for forever, because they sell so many pieces. It's impossible. But on a much smaller scale, you want pieces to be available on every, let's say for this one, anything that could break, you want pieces to be available in case the brand should fold or the watchmaker should quit. You never know, right? You have to ensure continuity, and that will be part of the success of all those new brands. See, everybody's a bit tired of like you can get tired of the Pateks, the APs, and they look for the next thing, because they don't want to have the same watch as the other guy. So they want a Garrick, they want this and that, an independent, but very few are like Chopard, in business since '96, true manufacturer. They make calibers, pieces, parts for other companies. That's how they can survive as a manufacturer, right? When you're not the size of Patek, selling 100,000 watches a year or more, all for yourself, then you have to use your capacity for others. I think we saw that with the Romain Gaultier as well, right? They design their watches, they manufacture them, but they also do it for other brands. That way they are capable of making it, making the business venture profitable and solid. And that's what you have to look into. And that's why I like Chopard. It's independent, it's unique designs, it's quality, it's beautiful, and they have the they have the strong back to back you up in the future, no matter what happens. Shout out to Omega, my favorite watch. Loving this museum number 8, now out of production officially. It was still officially in production. These came out first 10, 11 years ago, but now they really stopped making them. So to me, it's the most beautiful watch, but to each his own. You might not agree. Of course, Patek. Sometimes I'm thinking, maybe I should sell a few watches and get a super Patek complication. The thing is with Patek, their grand complications are the manual wind, chronographs, their perpetuals. That's a different budget. In between, you have the 5960s, the 5205s, the annual calendars, the automatic flyback chronographs. But there's always something that bugs me about them. Like, you don't have the running seconds, or you get the annual calendar without the moon phase, or the annual calendar windows are not the same on the left and the right. Or, if I look at the world timer, it's a bit with the chronograph. That's a cool watch, but doesn't have a date. It's kind of weird, a world timer without a date. There's always some sort of compromise that annoys me. If you're gonna spend $50,000, right? You think, I'm getting the ultimate thing, and then there's something that bugs you. In the end, I don't mind changing the date 5 times a year, and just have the date, right? I don't need the full calendar. Especially, I like the moon phase actually more than knowing the month. I mean, if you don't know the month, as I joked before, you seriously have some other problems than buying watches. But the day is kind of cool. Sometimes you wake up and like, is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? Kind of cool to have it. But the date is the most important. And really, if you don't have an annual calendar or perpetual, you just need to change it 5 times a year. It's not that bad. And this one is just so, as a result, is slimmer, and I think more respected than all those mid-range Pateks that they keep on churning out, that are not their grand stuff. And I don't mean to poo-poo on a 5205, right? But the steel version with the bracelet looks so big. Dealers here were asking for $1 million Hong Kong dollar or $1.2 million for it, and now it's down to 600 or 500 already. That's just bullshit. Patek has completely lost control over its retail network. They do whatever they want. Packaging Calatravas, which I think are the most interesting things. I love the new Calatrava manual wound movement. It's so nice, man. I prefer that, I think, to spending more for. But they're very expensive because they had to develop that movement, you know. Speaking of which, I have Patek magazine here. If you have a Patek, just return the little card there, like this, and you can get the magazine. So here they look at the auction prices. Just a beautiful magazine that also talks about art and architecture, archaeology. Like for example here, article about Egypt, and the articles about Pateks, of course. Watches are very interesting. Looking at the archives. For example, here they look at the Japanese technique to ornate things with gold leaves. And finally, yeah, I could understand a bit what the hell is up with this 5470. And you read the tent. You know, it came out around the same time as the Zenith came up with their Chronomaster Sport. And you read the tent around the dial, but there's 12 sections. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's just you read the seconds and then you read the tenth, and it doesn't matter where it is. To me, there's something off about this system. It's cool that it's a mono pusher, but there's something off about. They didn't want to have the 10 going too fast. They thought it was not nice. So instead they slowed it down. You can still read the 10 because there's 10 little sections here, but between each of the 12 sections, the red ones. But it doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, 5370. Yeah, you see, I was talking about the 5905 as well. You see those two windows. Why couldn't they get them to be the same size? Actually, maybe on the 5905 they are. Or they're slightly different. Yeah, no, this one is smaller than that one. That's just an oversight. I mean, why? It just... That's why they put a little line. That's why I was confused. They put a little line here to make them look the same size. But this one, the aperture is smaller than this one because there's 12 months and only 7 days. So the month looks all cramped. It just would bother me to spend so much money and have that. But cool to have... this one doesn't have the power reserve, actually. I prefer the other one with the power reserve, which is a great complication in itself. This one does have loom. That's cool. So almost perfect, but yeah, something bugs me about spending so much money and have something that annoys me so much. So yeah, the 5960 power reserve, loom, and different. This was one of the nicest one. My buddy Mark here has this. It's really, really nice. But sometimes he thought about selling it, and I don't want to feel like that if I buy it. I want to be truly happy. But yeah, you have the different size little windows here, and no running seconds. So yeah, it's a vertical clutch. You can leave the seconds running, but the minutes will also run. So it's not a solution to me. Yeah, at the end of the day, the old ones, you know, the 1516 and the 2499 for something a little bit more affordable, if you can say that. Those are the perfect watches. They'll never really do anything that nice, and that's why I kind of like my Omega, and I'm happy with that because I prefer that look. Yeah, but again, to each his own. It's just that if I get that super watch, I want full happiness. I don't want to in between. Now, something really interesting, the reference 6906, you know this one. Started with the 5000, that one, then the 6000, still a bit small. 6906 came to a modern size. Long lugs though, it was quite big. And one of those watches, one of those Calatravas that looks like nothing else. And yeah, you get into it or you don't. And I think it's very much ignored what is explained in here. A lot of people say, yeah, it looks a bit like a car dashboard. How come? And it's probably not meant to, but actually it was meant to. The reason to be of the 5000 was that Ferrari came to Patek and they had a chat. And Thierry Stern, his father, the father of Thierry Stern, I'm drawing a silly blank. Henry, right? No, Philippe Stern. He's not I mean, he ran a tight ship, right? And they made a deal to create a watch like this that had that look of a dashboard and with the little triangles. And then Ferrari came back and the watches were ready, and Ferrari wanted to have Ferrari at the front and Ferrari at the back. And Philip Stern said, no, it's going to be one or the other, not both. Ferrari wouldn't budge, and then they said, okay, bye-bye. And then Ferrari came back and said, I think you're right, let's do just one. And then Philip Stern said, sorry, we're keeping the watches. And that's how the 5000 was born and became no co-branded watch. And then it evolved in the 6000 and the 6006. So great article and really fun. And it gives an insight on the mentality of the Stern family and Philip Stern, and what kept the brand is something about canes, beautiful. What has made the brand successful, and I hope that Thierry Stern keeps this spirit. So yeah, in the catalog right now, there's no 6006, it's gone, and he says it's a mistake to have stopped it. They regret it, but they have the 6007 or the 7007, you know, that quirky little watch that started with a special limited edition for the manufacturer, and then now they make a white gold with 3 colors. To me, they look like entry-level Omega. Sorry, Thierry. I know you think it's playful and it was inspired by your kids. I don't like them. And again, it's overpriced, but the movement is not interesting. It's the base movement. I don't like them. I think the 6006 watch was much nicer, and I'm sure he knows that. He's like, okay, we got something similar in the catalog now, and that's probably the watch that people will have to buy if they want to get the other allocation piece that they're hoping for. It's one of those pieces that people say, yeah, it's nice, but I don't think it's not an important piece. I think the 6006 was more important, my opinion, just like the 5296 was important in this incredible execution. I mean, what a watch! You know, I try to wear it more and wear just that. I wear it mostly casually, actually. And it's just one of those watches that you can't get enough of, and gets you so much. Yeah, it's silly to say that. So much respect, but yeah, it gets you the nod, let's say, by other collectors. Other watch that's people always notice and ask about, and is this, and I tell them it's an Omega. What? It's not a Moser. I'm not going to say I hate Moser, but I don't like their fumé dials. I hate the fumé dials because they're too empty, and it's just played out. It started as like a limited edition for someone or something, and then it became a thing. It was not even meant to be the signature of the brand. I call this a sunburst dial, and the reason I like it better, well, first it's red, goes burgundy to black, but the reason I like it as well is how they put the white gold indices, how strong they are. They go deep into the dial, and then they cross a very refined minute track within the dial, which is just so original, so cool, with the beautiful hands in white gold, logo in white gold. This is the Omega Seamaster Boutique Edition. I've made a whole video about it, with an onion crown, very unusual. Has those twisted lugs, but not as twisted as say the Aquaterra here, right, that we know well. And funny thing about those twisted lugs, funny thing, I was looking at a watch magazine, and I see and if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but if I understand well, Gerald Genta, young Gerald Genta, designed twisted lugs like that, not for Omega, but for Universal Genève. Universal Genève. And I wonder why they call it Universal Genève. We always say that, right? It's universal. And at the bottom they put Genève, just like Patek puts Genève. You don't say Patek Philippe Genève, but somehow we say Universal Genève. Maybe that's really the brand name. But the Paul Router, while the Speedy of the time still had those straight lugs, didn't have yet those twisted lugs, had those twisted lugs, but as lugs. It was not integrated to the case. And then I saw another one, another Universal Genève, with the twisted lugs integrated to the case. So did Gerald Genta actually design this? And Omega, just jumped on it for the Speedy or the Seamaster line. Back then it was. Right? Is that what happened? What do you think, guys? Is that what happened? Do we have to thank Gerald Genta for this? Revolutionary, right? It's just so cool, and it's such a trademark of Omega. This is what we know Omega for. Like almost every watch has it. Even this dress watch that has another secret up its sleeve. So a few years ago, there was the City Edition, New York, Paris, London, Singapore. They didn't do one for Hong Kong. And if they had, it would have been probably red. So every city had a different color. Most of them were those sunburst colors. I use the word sunburst because that's what we use to describe those Les Paul from Gibson. But they didn't do one for Hong Kong. And if they had, it would have been red. But this one is the Boutique Edition. It's not the Hong Kong edition. It's just a boutique. It's just Omega for itself. And to prove it, they have the iconography of the brand all around the dial. Look at that. The escapement, the timekeeping for the Olympics, observatory, the seahorse, the diver here, and space exploration there. So cool, right? And the same iconography is printed on the specific box. Now, since you've made it to the 43rd minute, I'm sure there's only 3 of you left. So I'm going to show you the serial number. So I am in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, 8, in China in general, 8 is a very lucky number. And Rolex actually has the country code 888 for Hong Kong. And the dial, international code that you dial for Hong Kong is 852. Look at the serial number. It features 3 times 8, and it features in sequence 852. And you're going to tell me that this watch was not a little bit made for Hong Kong to say, hey, sorry, we didn't do a Hong Kong version of the watch. I wonder if all of them won't have the 852 sequence and then a different number afterwards. So there you go. If you're in Hong Kong, I think this is a super collectible, and it's part of the reason that why I bought the watch. Wasn't cheap, but super unique, and such a cool original collectible. Very cool. And by the way, shout out to Deep Blue Amanda on Instagram, IG. She is the lovely salesperson who I always Talked to at Omega, and I bought this from her. I bought as well this one. And shout out to my buddies Simon and Josh, who are always part of the adventure, and thanks to whom I got to purchase the Seamaster Aquaterra World Timer, and the James Bond watch. And it's funny because without trying, I sort of have a perfect Omega collection in terms of the functions and the colors. You know, my Speedy is black, and then you get the blue, the green. I've posted a picture on IG about this. Then you get this color and the red. So together they form such a perfect family. And before my file gets too big and I can't even upload it, maybe we're gonna leave it at that, unless I think of something else. I should have done this live, right? But probably would be easier as some sort of live podcast, whatever. I don't know how they really work. But I was afraid to say something something wrong that I could not edit, and I would have to trash the whole thing. Let's bring it a bit closer here and a bit higher over there. There you go. There you go, my little Omega family. Somehow it's just a perfect collection, right? In terms of the colors, function. It's not really vintage, but vintage style. Just super cool. That's just how the cookie crumbled, and somehow it crumbled the right way. Maybe a little shout out to James Bond with the moiré effect, as it's called in French. Took them a long time, and yeah, it never stops. As long as the watch runs, the seconds run, it never stops. Adds a little bit of thickness, a little bit of weight, but just such a cool look. And it's great that they went back for this model, anniversary model, to the original waves. Much more discreet. It bothered me on the green one that I had. It was just too visual, and it's even worse on some of the other colors. You don't want your watch to be so all the time there, right? Bit of the problem with the JLC divers there, and a lot of watches that, you know, like the Longines, for example, the new Zulu ones. It's just too flash, too much polish, too much color, bright colors. Too much chrome on it. Reminds me of the old American cars. And by the way, in Belgium, if you do go to Brussels and you want to do something fun for an hour or two, go to Auto World. And if you're now in Europe, actually, you can go there. Easy to park. It's in a big expo type of era, with a historical on a historical site, and it's just super easy to get in. And Auto World has a huge, beautiful collection of vintage, really old, even like carriages, like old horse carriages, but lots of American cars, lots of sports cars of all eras, modern cars as well, even the Formula One of Alonso. If you like, even if you don't really like cars, you will be amazed. And right now they have a pop-up exhibit of the 007 watches and cars and a few other items, and it's just great stuff, just fantastic stuff. Really smashing quality of the displays. This car is in there. Yeah, just fantastic stuff. I really recommend you to check it out. It's called Bond in Motion, and it's you might be able to see it. You might have seen it in other countries, of course. This car there is in there. It's the main attraction. Really a fantastic Exhibit. All right. Well, that's about it. Almost 50 minutes I've been talking. What else do I have around me? The Tissot PRX. Am I still wearing it? Nope, not at all. I sold the green. I still have the blue and the black, but it's like a bit better, but it's almost like the MoonSwatch. I gotta have them, and then I wouldn't be caught dead wearing a MoonSwatch. I feel so stupid wearing one. I get the three colors that I like: the Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus, and it just feels so stupid, right? And a weird thing is that somebody was pointing out in a blog that now, what do you associate moonshine with? Moonshine rhymes with MoonSwatch in everybody's head. Well, the moonshine was the proprietary thing of Omega. They're so proud of it. They will explain you at the boutiques how they make it and the different alloys that they have. You have moonshine on this one. And if I say moonshine, I'm thinking fucking MoonSwatch now. Jesus. And if I was the head of Omega must have had it with that thing. And soon there will be a new moon. Let's check out my moon phase. The zenith here. Yeah, a few more days. And I should go probably to the shopping mall where there's a swatch shop. And there's going to be a new moon swatch with the moonshine, gold maybe, and so last time they had the strawberry second hand, which looked really stupid. And when I saw that, I was like so happy that I didn't queue. But I'm gonna check out what the next one is. And why am I saying that? I'm never gonna wear it. I'm just gonna hold it for 20 years and then sell it for a fortune. Gonna make a ton of money on that thing. It's like Seiko, they have the SJE 083, the new improved 62 MAS, and I'm like all giddy about it. I keep on going to the AD. Hey, call me when you get it. Hey, did you get it and all that? I don't even like the bloody model. I don't like it. I have this anniversary one. I never wear it. It's so inaccurate, but it looks good. But I don't like to wear it. What I like is the Willard, the box standard Willard, which doesn't run very good, but I love the tracks, the reflections. It's a nice bezel as well. Just love the case. It's my favorite case of any diver. Why do I get so excited about that new Seiko release? Why am I going to spend between 3,000 and 4,000 US? I don't know if there might not be a discount because each AD gets one or two, and then they're probably going to make a newer, better version of this one, which I might be interested in. So maybe I'll just go to the AD, take a few pictures, put that on Instagram, and leave it at that. Because that SJE 083, that 62 mass that they do, with again a movement that you don't know if it's going to run well or not. In general, I think people are wrong about the 6L. It's very good. To me, it's more like a ETA level type of movement. I think it was made to really be a competitor to 2892, slimmer and better adjusted. But they don't take any risk in saying it's going to be -5 + 5 or so, anything like that. There's still -10 + 15 without a bracelet for the same price as this gorgeous baby. I'm sorry, but it shows you how good Tudor is, and this is not limited, and it's I think Tudor is much better at that price level. There's no competition, and they will move more units. So yeah, I'll be wearing this watch. I'll make sure to wear this if I get invited to check out that new 62 MAS, and we'll compare the two, and hopefully it will make sure that I keep my credit card in my pocket. All right, guys, let's say goodbye. Almost an hour. If you've stayed all long, I hope this was entertaining. Had a couple of little insights, things I think about. I'll come back soon, maybe with a video about GLC. I'm in a bad mood about GLC right now. I wish they had done better in the last 4 years. So maybe I'm not going to do that video because if you have nothing nice to say, I mean, there's nice things to say, of course, about GLC. They still make great watches like the Duometre. But yeah, I'm a bit disappointed. So once again, it's 10 o'clock in the AM in Hong Kong with my Day-Date 2. I'm going to try to make a few more videos next week. My family is away for a week. They've gone back to Japan, so it's my only week alone in the year. I don't really plan on doing anything crazy. I don't hardly ever drink alcohol anymore, by the way, so I'm not really going to go out and drink, but maybe I'll go see some live bands. It's a good chance to hang out a bit in the evening. I'm still a bit jet lagged from my trip in Europe. I have those weird dreams, like at 2 a.m. I was up again. I couldn't fall back asleep. And you know what I did to fall back asleep? I listened to the 1 hour blog or vlog, but it's not, there's no video of a blog to watch. You know, those guys are really fun, those Scottish guys and Ariel. And I really like, you know, their point of view. You know, I was getting excited, for example, about the Tag Heuer skipper, and just hearing them talk about it just puts things in some perspective. Sorry, Tag, and you're like, yeah, it's nothing original. It's not even as good as the original one, and they changed things that they didn't need to change, that are not as nice, and it's just a color. What am I buying? You know, it's like I really like Waco and Revolution and Grail Watch, but all he does is reissue things with a cool color, and Hodinkee does the same. And we jump on these things, and then it's not original. It's not a new idea, right? They just rehash things, and with all due respect, really, because I really like Waco and a lot of things he does, and I think he's a lot more entertaining now than he was a few years ago. And I love the passion and the good eye for this. But like, he just did a new collaboration with Nomos. It's cool, but the Nomos, the watch itself is the same as the Nomos watch, and I don't know, I like the Nomos version as well. Am I going to spend again $4,000 on this? Is it going to make me happy? Does it further my journey into watches? But you know, not everybody has to buy everything, and I'm really working hard on myself to calm down. You know, stop jumping on everything and have a goal. Say, for example, if I said, okay, I'm going to sell everything and just have Omega, there you go, I've got a perfect collection, and my goal will be to only add something that adds to this collection that makes sense, you know, not add another Seamaster if I have one already. And it really helps in collecting if you have a goal, because if you buy everything that comes out, it just gets nuts. It's not even about, of course, it's about the money, but not even just about that. It's just you don't enjoying, because I don't have time to wear the pieces that I like. I love my Grand Seiko Spring Drive. My son loves it. It's his favorite watch. I don't wear it enough, and I should be wearing just that for a month, right? And I just never have the time. Same for the Patek and the museum. So, by the way, I got this car. I didn't realize it was a Skelectric. I don't even have the track, but I just wanted to have my favorite car from the James Bond show. But yeah, all those reissues, new colors, the skipper, I was kind of almost getting excited about it. The price is sort of reasonable, but what do you really get, and what is really that chronograph? I don't know anything about that chronograph, just like I don't know anything about the chronographs of Jaeger-LeCoultre. They don't really market it as anything particular, right? What are you getting, really? I want more for my money. I want a story. I want a purchase experience. And I want to make sure that it brings me somewhere in my collecting journey. Damn, I need another ice cold coffee. And I'm sure you guys do as well. Well, if you stayed for an hour, thank you so much. I'm going to wrap it up. And would love to read some comments, or just get a like for the video, and that would tell me that it was interesting. And I'll leave you with a Tourbillon I don't get to do that often. Bye bye, guys.